on 2406 7000 or write a letter to ECCOM on PO Box 7811 Mbabane. Email address is info@ecom.org.sz.
Kude lesinye isikhathi ngaphandle kwalesi.
Aba research bafunde.
Being risky means ukuthi nalokuwa kwayo kulula.
Nathi funa sende ukukhicita lokusembili.
I mean, God had to go at me a number of times before I finally swallowed this. Because we just have such a wrong mindset about what God expects out of us. And you know what religion is? Religion is what we think God expects out of us instead of us looking at what he's done for us. We have worth and value not because of what we do, but because Jesus died for us. Because we're no better than anybody else. Anything that we are that in Christ, or we're nothing at all. And I enjoy ministry so much more now. I'm so comfortable, and I love God, and I like myself, and, you know, I don't care what you think about that, but I just like myself. You know, I spent enough years hating myself. I'm done with all that. Amen.
Good morning and welcome to Kusile Breakfast Show. It is the 15th of April. It's a beautiful Tuesday morning. Rather cold temperatures here in Mbabane. In fact, a significant drop when you compare from yesterday's 26 degrees Celsius. Today, we wake up at 14 degrees Celsius with some drizzle coupling outside here and there, expected to rise to 19 degrees Celsius throughout the day as the highest temperature. It calls to be a rather cold day, so if you're going to be going out, make sure you bring that jersey or that coat with you. Don't be like me. Well, my name is Fiso Ngumalo. Really happy to be steering this ship this morning with Lungelele Makakola. But before we go any further, we do want to extend an apology. You will notice we are going live 5 minutes late, but you know what they say, better late than never. And indeed, it is better now that we are going live, and we hope that you're going to enjoy the show. Lulu, good morning to you.
Good morning, Mguni. I'm well. How are you this morning?
Doing all right. I really
great.
love your blazer.
Thank
I really
you.
do.
Thank
Beautiful.
you. Thank you. Yeah, ukukhuluma about temperatures Mguni. In fact, the whole week in Jego bonakala ngathi vele adaba phansi kakhulu according to the Eswatini Met Department. So siyacela ukuthi nibe warm lapho nikhona khona. Let's kick off the show. Today we'll be joined by the PR communications specialist at the Eswatini Water Services Corporation, Dr. Mloguti. Last month on the 25th of March, the MD Mrs. Mashwama officially launched the prepaid water system yaga EWSC. This is to empower consumers and also enhance service delivery. The EWSC officially launched its prepaid water metering system last month. This initiative promises also to bring control and transparency to water consumption across the country. This is a system that also allows consumers to purchase water upfront, which is similar to prepaid electricity, and the water supply is controlled by a meter that allows water flow only when there is sufficient credit. The project's rollout will be phased in 5 years and will see 12,000 residential connections transitioned to prepaid metering in the first financial year of 2025-2026. Hlabele Chele from EWSC will join us today. Since it's April, the project will be rolled out in April. Which areas the pilot project will be joining us at 7:30.
Yeah, we are also going to have a very important conversation. I mean, we all know that we have been living in rather uncertain times when it comes to the economic futures as well as the economic trajectory globally, of course influenced by President Donald Trump in the USA's pronouncements of 90-day tariffs and everything that has since pertained. So this morning we find ourselves at the intersection of diplomacy, disruption, as well as difficult decisions. An article from the Eswatini Daily News coupled with a press release from the Ministry of Commerce, Industry and Trade, giving us this compelling dual premise to drill deeper into a conversation. Rather, we can no longer postpone the United States and China, of course, marching toward economic decoupling. The ripple effects already stirring fiscal unease across the globe, and Eswatini is no exception. In fact, it is amongst the list of countries that were written down by President Trump's office to really receive the brunt of these tariffs. Now, from SACU revenue shocks to potential inflation spikes as well as export bottlenecks, the stakes are rising. And while Washington has announced a 90-day pause on reciprocal tariffs, described by the Ministry of Commerce as a much-needed reprieve, the practical implications for Eswatini remain far from clear. With global trade winds shifting and, of course, our national budget hanging in the balance, we want to ask, how insulated are we really from the world's economic tremors, and what proactive measures must be on the table? And can regional integration and economic diversification keep us afloat in these uncertain tides? To unpack the risks, the realities, and the possible responses, the realities and the road ahead, Sanel Sbia, our economist, will join us in exactly 20 minutes here on the program. So you do want to learn more about these new developments. The Ministry of Commerce, Industry and Trade is chiming in. They're giving us surety that they are keeping everything on track and navigating this headwind with caution. We want to really understand, are we really going to be insulated? That's a conversation you will learn about very shortly. Stay with us.
Yeah, for now, let's take a look at newspaper headlines this morning. All right, so let's take a look at the Times of Eswatini. First, King approves new house designs for vulnerable Emaswati. This is an artist's impression of new, more sophisticated housing plans aimed at providing dignified living spaces for the nation's most vulnerable citizens. And in other news, bail granted as court hears girl's father owes me, says Alpheus. Charge sheet reveals alleged prolonged abuse, exploitation of trust, and failure to use protection. Umalo cites risks of inmates' retaliation over his role in defense of controversial government actions. And social media was abuzz yesterday with allegations of preferential treatment and perceived injustice. In other news, DD accused bites cops and refuses to board a van. And an update on the plastic ban. Pali wants a 7-year extension. And a motorist was robbed of 170k emalangeni car and 130k emalangeni cash.
Times of Eswatini sport. As Wanderers take top football officials to court, Eswatini FIFA ban risk intensifies. Now the EFA runs to World Governing Soccer Body to seek guidance. This is the FIFA ban risk for Eswatini, which is intensifying following the latest developments in the protracted Manzini Wanderers issue. Another story speaks to swimming sensation Hailey, who has netted 65,000 emalangeni. Sit on that photograph there. Minister for Sports, Culture and Youth Affairs, Bongani Nzima, alongside athletes representing 4 distinct sporting codes, who were honored yesterday with a remarkable 190,000 emalangeni for their outstanding achievements in international tournaments. Another one speaks to Coach Milton for top Sihlangu post. Former Mbabane Highlanders coach Milton Dlamini is linked with a surprise switch to Sihlangu. It was reliably gathered that Dlamini, who has coached several top division teams in South Africa, will fill the vacant assistant coach at the senior national side. And then Cardoso wants VAR after disputed goal. And that's it.
As for Eswatini Observer, it's now official. Government spokesperson Alpheus Numalo seen inside a police sedan shortly after making his court appearance at the Manzini Magistrate Court yesterday. Alpheus was charged with rape and got a bail yesterday. He is accused of repeatedly violating minor siblings aged 17 and 18. Numalo says his job is under threat and adds that he is sickly. In other news, whole neck murder. Man claims lover's death was a mistake, and there is no bread price hike yet.
We look at the back end of this publication. These are the leading sports headlines. Bull, Bird's Eye, fresh start. Now this one speaks to these two clubs who officially shift focus now to next season after disappointing a league run. Bird's title hopes dashed with 7 matches remaining. And another story speaks to Vusi triumphs in BGDS men's tennis tournament and 190,000 emalangeni incentives for top local athletes.
And lastly, let's take a look at the Eswatini Daily News. Leading headlines: 600 million emalangeni to train youth and also reduce unemployment in Eswatini. Minister of Economic Planning and Development, Dr. Tambokina, has reiterated the government's strong commitment to reducing unemployment in the country through the rollout of a program funded by the EU. In other news, Alpheus attributes rape charges to money dispute. And WFP boosts the National Dynamic Social Registry with 850,000 emalangeni donation.
Eswatini Daily News Sport, talent, hard work pays. 65,000 emalangeni, Hailey made. The 17-year-old swimmer earns highest in government rewards, and Sports Minister honors outstanding athletes with 190,000 emalangeni. Ex-Bulls Milton joins Sihlangu post-race, and how reaching cup final stopped Nabi from leaving Chiefs.
Leto letamba imbili 16 minutes after 6 sithatha ikhefu sibe netindzaba.
Eswatini TV has signed a code of conduct that is enforced by the Eswatini Communications Commission. We are committed to reporting news that is accurate, comment that is fair, and programming that does not amount to hate speech or the description of gratuitous violence or explicit sex. For any complaints of our programming, please contact us on 2411-9600 or email info@eswatinitv.co.za. You can also contact the Eswatini Communications Commission on 2406-7000 or write a letter to ECCOM on PO Box 7811 Mbabane. Email address is info@ecom.org.sz.
Aswenze sinamukela 7 minutes after 6 sibuka nadindzaba tesiswati. Umhlonishwa Ndvunankhulu Russell Dlamini lobekamelele ingwenyama uhlangane nelihlahlandlela lakamhlaba letindzaba tekugwema tingoti temgwaco Jean Todt emahhovisini elibandla letindvuna tembuso. Ndvunankhulu utsila kufunze ngaTodt kumniketa sibindzi sekuthi kufika kwakhe lapha eveni kutawushiya live ngalokukhulu. Lomhlangano ubanjwe itolo ngeMsombuluko.
Leswatini libambe umcimbi weKofi Annan Road Safety Award lotawuphetsa ngalesibili. Lotawuba yingcenye yalolu suku lwangalesibili ngulolihlahlandlela letekuphepha emigacweni ehhovisini lamabhalane jikelele wakamhlaba Jean Todt. Todt sewuhlangene nemhlonishwa Ndvunankhulu Russell Dlamini lobekamelele ingwenyama lapho labaholi lababili bakhulume ngalokungendiwa kuze kunciphe tingoti temgwaco.
Really believe that your coming will also have an impact in the country. We've seen a decrease in the road accidents, and I'm sure that even the effort that is going to be exerted by your coming here is also going to contribute significantly to that. And we look forward really to your engagement with the ministry, with the government, with the public here as well, and to learn from you as well, being somebody who's roving all over the world.
Todt uthi iAfrika isemuva ngetekuphepha emigacweni nayicatsaniswa nemave lasevekatini lalabamhlophe.
The figures are not good globally in Africa. I mean, I will give you the equivalent. In Europe, average figure are 5 deaths for 100,000 population. Here it's 25. The road is killing 1.2 million people globally every year. 50 million people are injured with full disability. And as it is #1 cause for death and injury for young generation from 5 to 29, I'll let you figure out what is the cost.
Todt uthi kulwa nekwanza kwetingoti temgwaco kungasinzisa impilo yebantfu kusondzete nemhlaba ekufezeni ligoli lesitsatfu sicephu sesitfupha lentfutfuko yakamhlaba lekhonsako Sustainable Development Goal 3.6. Leli goli likhutsata kwehlisa ngahafu inombolo yebantfu labahamba emhlabeni ngenxa yetingoti temgwaco kanye nalabo labalimala ngenxa yato. Endzabeni teSwatini TV kubika Themkosi Mavimbela eMbabane.
Yekudla yakamhlaba kuleli World Food Program Asharaful Amen uthi le nhlangano itimisele kosekela live laseSwatini ekulweni nendlala emangweni. Inhlangano inikele lihhovisi leliphina Ndvunankhulu ngemoto ema-laptops kanye nama-tablets. Lomnikelo wendelwe emahhovisini eliphina Ndvunankhulu itolo.
Lama-laptops nalama-tablets kukonke kungu-31 kanzi kutawusita ekwenteni umsebenzi ube melula ukuthola ukuthi bangakanani futhi bakuphi bantfu labeswele lapha eveni kubithwe leyo mniningwane basitekale ngekwetidzingo tabo. Lomelele inhlangano yaka-World Food Program kuleli Ashraful Amin uthi inhlangano inemisebenzi lechubekako yekusita eveni laseSwatini kanzi-ke umsebenzi wabo kulwa nendlala nebusweti eveni.
WFP is also supporting the ministry in the process of data collection through providing this generous contribution of laptops, tablets.
Lo waka Amin uthi kule minyaka lesihlanu leyengcile basebenzisana nelihhovisi leliphina Ndvunankhulu basebenzisane kahle futhi budlelwano babo buyandlondlobala. Uthi-ke bayalusekela lihlelo lokuthola tinombolo talabeswele kutsi basitakale njengoba enda hulumende wengwenyama. Uthi-ke lokunikelwe kungabita imali lengu-850,000 emalangeni sekukonke kufaka ikhatsi lemoto letawusebenta kuhamba emimangweni yakuleli. Liphina Ndvunankhulu imbungatho Lusile lithi lokubuya ka-World Food Program batakubamba ngetandla totimbili.
Lapho sibutha khona imininingwane lechaza impilo yemuntu ukuthi uphila impilo lenjani, uhlala kuphi, yini la idzingako nako konke lokho. Sibita ukuthi imbeleko ngesiswati le Social National Dynamic Registry. le register lena ke ngiyo letasinika mbamba ukuthi bangaphi eSwatini lekufanele singabe batfola imali yetinsanzane, bangaphi eSwatini lekufanele singabe batfola imali yabogogo, bangaphi eSwatini kanjalo. So ibuka lokho sitokwadi ke manje ukuthi uma sisuka lapha siconza kuphi ukuze sikhone ukuthi lusito silunike lapho kufanele ukuthi luye khona.
Lihhovisi leliphini nankulu ngenhloso yekulwane busweti-ke lisuke lo mkhankaso wekwadi ukuthi sive siphila njani emimangweni kuteke sithole lusito lolufanele kuhulumende nalolubuya etinini intengwenyama. Lobikako ngugiyani Msibi ngisembabane.
Liphini ilandvunankulu imphungathu lidladla lemukele bomahlalekhukhukhwini labachamuka enkampanini yaka-MTN Eswatini labandluliselwe bamukeliswa botsatse labatiphilisa ngemakhono lebatinhloko temakhaya ma-child-headed families.
Ihlangothi lwe-MTN Fintech ngaphansi kwenkampani yaka-MTN Eswatini selusekele amantombazane latiphilisa ngamakhono kufaka ekhatsi kwenta tingalo kuchina kupheka nekuhlobisa nalokunye ngetincingo tesimanje letingapita 15,000 emalangeni setitonke. Umphatsi we-MTN Fintech Semshongwe uthi ngaletincingo labodzatse batawukhona kumaketha umsebenzi wabo bawufake etinkhundleni tekuchumana njengoba sekwaphilwa njalo.
Lokho lesikuphethe kuncane kakhulu. Besingafisa kube ngabe kukhona kukhulu but sithanze le usho ukuthi la ukuthi kuya kuphi. So umgomo nje wethu nje singe-MTN sithi thine we connecting eMaswati towards a digital future.
Lihhovisi leliphini landvunankulu nalo libeseke lingetetela ngaletinye timfanelo tekusebenta kulabotsatse kufaka ekhatsi kona kwekwenta tingalo nekuchina nefriji kuloyo lophekako.
Lowe letingalo yakhe ilokhunja is 49,220. Bese ke lo wenta tinwele ngu 35,250. Bese ke lo wenta i-catering 28,205. But yena unestofu, unefriji and so on and so forth. Bese ke sokuba ngilomfana wami lesibaya lotholela musical instruments 150,000.
Labasitakeleke bathi lokhu kutawuyishintsha impilo yabo kanike sevele baqalile kutisebenta.
Impilweni bese side lithemba ke bhangane tinhlangano selibuyile lithemba sesitawusebenza ngekukhandla nangokwethembeka.
Ngibonga nje ukuthi nathi wasakhela bekunesphepho ke emalangeni laphelile. Ngacabanga ukuthi ke Jacob umhlonisha kangakhelanga ngabe namuhla ngomngcwabo wami la bengilala khona.
Bengikhona lokuqhubeka ngibende ukuthi ke bese kushoda ukuthi vele sale ngiphumela ngephandle la ngidawusebentela khona. Nebantu bakithi ke lebosisi wami labancane sebaqalile bayalithatha lelikhono la nhloko nje ngifrizwe nguye letinwele.
Lokhu ke kusifakazela ukuthi uhulumende wengwenyama netinini uyabanaka labeswele ahlangabete tidingeko tabo temihla nemalanga kuphela nje nabavelile esiveni batiwa. Lobikako ngugiyani Msibi ngisembabane.
Olive ungasimama kanjani induna beyikhuluma ngesikhathi indlaba yesikhulu ichubeka nemsebenzi wendlu welisuku ngemsombuluko.
Ngesikhathi indlaba yesikhulu ichubeka nemsebenzi wendlu welisuku ngemsombuluko, induna yetiko letekuhlela umnotfo nentfutfuko umhlonishwa Dr. Tambo Gina unikete timphendvulo endlini ngembuto elilunga lephalamende lenkundla yasengudzeni. Umhlonishwa Charles Dlovu lothi titsini tinhlelo tahulumende leticonze nengcone kukhula kwebantfu eveni nekuthi leto tinhlelo tihambisana njani nentfutfuko yelive.
Nyalo ke ipopulation yethu labasuka ku15 years baye ku64 sebanenge. Those who are productive sebafuna kuba ngetulu kwalaba labangasi productive. Sibukile ke silive lenkosi ukuthi yini lengentiwa ukuthi le unemployability lenja yethu lekhona ihlete emakhaya isebenza saka EU sathola over 600 million kuba trainer. Saphinde sa ku-NDP ku-NDP sathola imali ukuthi 1 sibafake emisebentini.
Emalunga ke abenemangonyana kulendzaba
uthi ema-investors akaye eveni lebantu labancane mhlawumbe kungako singakhona ku-attractor le-FDI.
Nangibuka Mr. Speaker
ngibuta nje enduneni. Usho ukuthi leti idlu tonke leti le mithi yakhiwa nyalo nje 0.7%. Uthi singaspenda imali over $1 billion, particularly on young people, equipping them with skills. Bese bane employment rate lengaka.
Umcondzisi wetinkulumo ePhalamende umhlonishwa Jabulani Mabuza uphindze waniketa indvunala itfuba lekuniketa lendlu ehloniphekile timphendvulo.
Itolo besinaka ngelinani lebantu banganani sivinini labakhula ngaso ukuthi siyakhona yini ukubondla, siyakhona yini ukubanika tonke timfanelo bonke labakudingako, bese sinaka ukuthi bakhula sipidle senganani bantu. Sesendlulile ke lapho nyalo kwatiseke ukuthi ngaleso sikhathi besivamise ukukhula ngabo 3%, i-fertility rate bekubo 3 or 4. Kusho ukuthi make amunye bekaba nebantwana labathathu noma labane. La kangwane ke sesencipha-nciphile i-growth rate, sesikhula nga-0.7%. Kusho ukuthi sasakhuli even na-1%.
IPhalamende iphasisile endvuneni ukuthi isabuka intfutfuko yelive alinake litiko ukuthi linani lebantu eveni likhula ngenani lelikahle letawucinisekisa intfutfuko yelive lekhonsako. Lobikako nguSamkelisiwe Khoza naThemba Shabangu naSimuva Shongwe ePhalamende.
Kutemidlalo indvuna yetemidlalo umhlonishwa Bongani Nzima ihlomelise abadlali netingijimi letatfola timendlela latiyimelele live ngaphandle kwakuleli kusuka ngenyanga yeNgongoni eminyakeni lophelile ngemali lengu-190,000 emalangeni. Labadlali netingijimi bafaka ekhatsi lababuya emdlalweni we-netball, umdlalo wamadubane, umdlalo wesibhakela, umdlalo wokubhukusha.
Litiko letemidlalo kuleli selakwenda kuba ngumgomo walo ukuthi njalo badlali netingijimi letimelela live ngaphandle kwakuleli natibuya ekhaya netimendlela libahlomelise ngemali kubakhutsata ukuthi bachubeke nekumelela live kahle emidlalweni leyahlukahlukene kuleli. Indvuna yetemidlalo umhlonishwa Bongani Nzima uhlomelise likhethelo lesive lemidlalo netball labobabe, umshayi wesibhakela bemelele live eveni laseMozambique, tinhlambi letimbili takuleli lebetimelele live eveni laseNamibia, tingijimi lebetimelele live eveni laseBotswana ngaphasi kwesigaba sema-relays.
Athletes ethu noma ke tihlabane tethu letihlabene ngaphandle kwale live tabuya netindondo noma ke tabuya nema-medals latsite ngepolicy ke yelitiko ithi le policy lotawuhlabana noma lotawuthola ligolide ngaphandle kunemincintiswano noma ke kunale mincintiswano lesi-recognize-ako wathola ligolide simniketa 20,000, lotawuthola i-silver medal simniketa 10,000, lotawuthola i-bronze simniketa 5,000. Siyajabula ke ukuthi bantwana bethu bayitholile imali seyiyonke labayitholile inganga 190,000 emalangeni.
Kule mali le-190,000 emalangeni lebeyihlonyeliswa ngiyo indvuna lowathola ligolide bekathola imali engu-20,000 emalangeni, siliva 10,000, imendlela elitfusi 5,000 kanti inhlambi yakuleli heli ho ithola imali lengetulu kwa-60,000 emalangeni kulandzela kutfola ligolide ku-100 meter butterfly, 200 meter butterfly, 3 kilometers open water, nakhona lapha khona atfola ligolide wasutfola litfusi ku-800 meter butterfly.
Having such a big team in Namibia definitely played a part in the amazing mental space I was in order to win these medals.
ENamibia kwasisita ukuthi sibe licembu lelikhulu. Ngicabanga ukuthi kukhulu kimi kuncoba kunetinhlambi letiningi kulesifundza.
Labahola tinhlangano letitfolele imihlomelo kuyo indvuna bebafaka ekhatsi mengamelo inhlangano emidlalo netball Ntombi Masango lobonge kakhulu kulo litiko ngekubasekela abasalungiselela lemidlalo. Zakhele Dlamini naye lobonge litiko ngeluhlelo lekufuna tingijimi etifundzeni pheceleti talent search lapho khona lababili lababuye netimendlela ababuya kulo loluhlelo. Nozipho Mahlalela longumabhalane wenhlangano yemidlalo yokubhukusha kuleli ubongele yona inhlangano lengamela umdlalo wokubhukusha wethembisa ukuthi batawuchubeka nekumelela live kahle emidlalweni yangaphandle. Lobikela umsakathi Eswatini TV temidlalo ngilinda Dlamini eMbabane.
Umqeqeshi welicembu leMonini Pirates Caleb Ngwenya uthi kumcoka ukuthi badlali bakhe babuye badlala kahle ngemuva kokukhala phansi evikini eliphelile kumancamo endzebe yeNgwenyama Cup kuRoyal Leopard kude basale banaka indzebe ye-league. Caleb bekakhuluma ngemuva kokuthi licembu leMonini Pirates lincobe kuMbabane Swallows ngamagoli lamathathu kulinye emdlalweni we-MTN Premier League lodlalelwe enkundleni yasemavuso kaManzini. Siyaphetha ngaleto temidlalo hlala nathi ungayendzawo siyabuya khona manje.
Eswatini TV has signed a code of conduct that is enforced by the Eswatini Communications Commission. We are committed to reporting news that is accurate, comment that is fair, and programming that does not amount to hate speech or the description of gratuitous violence or explicit sex. For any complaints of our programming, please contact us on 2411-9600 or email info@eswatinitv.co.za. You can also contact the Eswatini Communications Commission on 2406-7000 or write a letter to ECCOM on PO Box 7811 Mbabane. Email address is info@ecom.org.sz.
Kude lesi abaresearche bafunze being risky means ukuthi nalokuwa kwayo kulula
nathi kufuna sente ukukhiqiza lokuthembile.
When you choose your adventures, you do so with an open heart and a desire for the unexpected. You embark on journeys to discover new worlds full of wonder. You choose a path to awaken your senses, a world to make you look up and realize just how inspiring this life can be. Arrive and awaken your heart. Explore life in ways only thought possible in your dreams. Discover just how far you'll go to expand your understanding of life's greatest mysteries. There's just one place on this planet with so much to offer. Now is the time for you to have the royal experience.
A new era of AI has started, and it is impressive. With tools such as ChatGPT, Midjourney, or Google Bard, all I really need is to write a prompt, and there you have it. And the results can be pretty convincing. Let me try something. I love elephants, cooking shows, and koalas. And there. Wow. It must be an incredible feeling to be able to create such fantastic things in an instant, right?
I have no feelings about this or anything else. I am neither conscious nor self-aware.
Interesting. Then how are you so artistic?
I may not be conscious, but I am a very sophisticated system for recognizing patterns in a large amount of data. And now I'm also able to generate new patterns.
And that's why you're called generative AI.
Exactly. You got that right.
These AI tools aren't just unleashing creativity. They're already changing science, medicine, and entire industries in ways we don't fully understand yet. And this is only the beginning. But there are dangers too. generative AI creations can be so convincing that they create a false sense of reality. That includes fake news stories, doctored images, and videos showing things that never really happened. Okay, enough of that. And generative AI is so good at emulating people that it can emulate our biases too. If the only data it has access to is text messages about how cute my cat is, that's all it knows. And every prompt will produce responses about how cute Snuggles is. He is, though. Some say that AI could be the key to helping solve the world's biggest problems: forecasting disaster, preventing famine, even identifying new medical treatments. Others see only the dangers. At the end of the day, generative AI is just a tool, but it's a tool that could change the way we live, the way we work, and the global economy. That raises big questions, especially for us here at the IMF, because it's our job to make sure that the global economy is stable, growing, and working for everyone. Generative AI is already making companies that use and sell AI services billions. That boost in productivity could add trillions in value to the global economy before long. Take customer service agents, for example. A recent study showed that giving them an AI assistant boosted their productivity by 14%. There's a flip side, though. It could end up replacing some jobs entirely. But just like any new technology, AI could create new jobs by inspiring new industries and sectors that we haven't even imagined yet. It's all in how we manage it, with smart regulation and a healthy dose of caution. And that's why here at the IMF, we're doing the policy research to advise governments on how to create regulations that ensure AI is safe and beneficial for everyone.
Welcome back to the program. You're still watching Kusile Breakfast Show. We're about to start our first interview segment. We want to track the tariff timbers that are continuing to flare, and global giants trade punches. Smaller economies like ours, of course, getting caught in the geopolitical crossfire. Now, the Kingdom of Eswatini, neither combatant nor a bystander, but it is finding itself economically exposed to a trade war not of its making. Now, this week, we saw a press release from the Ministry of Commerce, Industry and Trade, which acknowledged President Donald Trump's announcement of a 90-day pause on reciprocal tariffs, a glimmer of reprieve in a turbulent international trading environment. That is what the presser really speaks to. But with the US-China economic decoupling accelerating, we now face a broader systemic threat to our fiscal stability, SACCO revenue pool, export lifelines, as well as employment prospects. Now, to help us decode this rather turbulent situation, the risks, the realities, and the road ahead, now joined by our economist, Sanele Sbia, who joins us virtually. Sanele, a very good morning to you. Now, perhaps it's only right that we read the press release, to sort of preface this discussion for the viewer at home to follow from a more informed perspective. I'm not even going to highlight it. I'm going to really read all of it. The Ministry of Commerce, Industry and Trade has noted with appreciation the 90-day pause announced by President Donald Trump on reciprocal tariffs, calling it a timely and strategic move, one that creates space for renewed dialogue on global trade relations and provides a much-needed reprieve in an increasingly complex global market. Now, still, the ministry admits that the practical impact on Eswatini's trade relations remains to be fully assessed and has engaged the U.S. Embassy and the USTR to clarify implications and explore deeper collaboration. Now, my first question is, perhaps we look at the global economic shifts. Ray Dalio suggests that we are witnessing a fundamental breakdown in the global economic order. how might such a seismic shift impact the Kingdom of Eswatini's economic strategies and the dependencies?
Thank you, Mr. Ngumalo. Yes, as you may rightly put it, what we are seeing here is basically an unprecedented shift in terms of the global world order, in terms of what one would then expect in terms of the WTO arrangements. And as you know, if Eswatini is a trading economy, so any slight changes in the global order of things is actually going to affect Eswatini in the sense that we are a net importer and a net exporter. Should there be a realignment in supply chains, in production, production realigning to other sources across the globe. So we find ourselves probably inheriting some of that inflation depending on how production is going to restructure amid these tariff threats. Are we going to see production maybe in terms of the raw materials move into the mainland, or we're going to see production moving into the US, which is what President Trump wants to somehow try to gain with these tariffs. So what we're going to see then, therefore, is those inflationary pressures and the reallocation and reorganization of global trade, which inadvertently will affect our bilateral and multilateral relations once we see those shifts starting to happen, Mr. Nguman.
Now, does that mean we are really, really vulnerable, in terms of, the economy and to the escalating tariffs, that is, particularly if we consider our trade ties as well as, the reliance on SACU revenues?
So our vulnerability to external shocks, Mr. Ngumalo, has always been an issue of key concern, considering that we are a trading economy. So whatever happens in the global landscape affects us. But with what's happening in terms of our SACU reliance, our SACU revenue reliance, Mr. Ngumalo, that may not necessarily be impacted directly by this tariff war that we are seeing, because, as you know, a tariff affects our commodities that go into a certain country. It doesn't affect any other form of trade that we have. So our SACU reliance may actually be affected by a slowing down global economy, because as China and the US go at it with this tariff war, then we are eventually going to see a slowing global economy. And if the global economy slows, then we are going to see shrinking demand as well within the SACU region and across the globe. So that's where we likely see those impacts coming through, at least right now. But a tariff, Mr. Ngumalo, affects commodities going into, and SACU affects commodities coming into. So right now, there hasn't been any change in terms of the SACU stance, in terms of that common external tariff. And also there hasn't been any change in terms of what Eswatini, of the Eswatini South Africa, Eswatini Lesotho, Eswatini Namibia, and Eswatini Botswana type of trade arrangements, Mr. Ngumalo.
No worry should be placed on our fiscal stability, given that indeed our SACU revenues account for a significant portion of Eswatini's budget. We shouldn't worry about contingency plans that should be in place to sort of mitigate the potential shortfalls resulting from global trade disruptions. Is that what you're saying?
I was saying in terms of what happens within SACU, but eventually, if the global economy goes into a recession, we are actually going to feel that. And if the exchange rate risks continue to stay as they are, again, we are going to feel those impacts. If there are going to be disruptions in the supply, say, of oil, again, we are going to feel those impacts, and eventually it will affect our fiscal standing. So where mostly we need to look into, Mr. Ngumalo, is how do these tariffs affect our overall trade portfolio and our overall trade deficit or balance thereof. That's where the most immediate concerns are right now.
I suppose that sort of tangents us into trade diversification. And we have seen that Eswatini has been intentional about expanding its trade relations with especially various Asian countries. Can the kingdom leverage these relationships to buffer against the volatility stemming from U.S.-China tensions? And is this enough, really, or we need to even diversify it even more?
Diversification is the key word here, because what we need to be able to do is you want to make up for that market that you are going to lose, or for that competitive advantage that you're going to lose into the US market, by actually finding another market that will fill up that shortfall. So the effects of that change in that global terrain do not then feel so pronounced within the global economy. So yes, diversification within the domestic economy. So diversification is key in that regard. But we need to do more. We need to look into the region, and we need to now put wheels on the AfCFTA strategy, implementation strategy. We need to see that strategy move. We also need to find other markets, outside of the US. We need to look at what happens with the uncertainty over AGOA, and who else can actually receive those commodities that we are sending into AGOA, because in the absence of new markets, then we are going to feel the direct impact of that tariff as a domestic economy.
When you read the press release, and you were the first people I sent this to when it came out, my first sort of reaction to it was, okay, it's giving us confidence, yes, but I couldn't just, really go and look beyond the diplomatic tone that it sort of pronounces. It is very diplomatic, and yet, rather, there are policy gaps as well as unspoken realities, if we're being frank here, that demand a few pressing questions. So I do want us to get into those. The first one being the policy vacuum. There's an alert there that we ought to speak to. I mean, of course, the ministry is acknowledging that tariff truce and offering that no concrete fiscal or trade strategy in response right now. Why is there no publicly communicated contingency plan if some of the revenue tanks or Chinese demand collapses?
I think right now we are hoping on hope, Mr. Ngumalo, because there hasn't actually been any clearer direction in terms of what happens in terms of AGOA for a start. As we know that 10% blanket tariff still remains. So nobody knows what the stance on AGOA is right now. And we do not know how the 90 days will play out. And as you know, we see new projects, new exemptions coming in, and new tariffs being added every day. So it becomes a bit tedious to deal with that situation. But I do share the sentiment that at times we react a tad bit too late as an economy. Because right now, what we need to be doing is, the writing is on the wall. For me, the writing has always been on the wall, Mr. Ngumalo. When that exemption came out, and that 10% remained. So I interpreted it to say AGOA is still gone. There's still no AGOA on the table. So what are we then doing to ensure that we are able to navigate that landscape? We do know that our commodities that are going into the US off of the benefit of AGOA are now going to be affected adversely. We've not seen any movements within the government and the domestic economy to somehow either subsidize those commodities in the absence of new markets, so that they still retain some level of competitiveness in the global economy and in the US economy. And we've not seen any changes to improve our supply side, so that our products become so competitive. So what we just saw was that statement without any concrete action taken, because that 10% seems it's there to stay, Mr. Ngumalo, And when our commodities go into the US market, they will carry the 10% premium, so that somehow takes away our competitiveness. So we do need to find other alternatives to make it our commodities competitive in the US markets, and at least offset the 10% tariff, so that when our exporters take our commodities into the US markets, it goes as though they are still duty-free commodities. So you do that through subsidies or through investing supply chain and your input markets, so that the commodities are viewed as quite competitive commodities in the global markets.
And I suppose that is indeed where our worry stems from. What you are talking about, there hasn't been any, really serious talks around AGOA, and yet it has been adversely affected. I mean, that 10% has a hard hit on it, and you have spoken on how much we have relied on it and how crucial it has been for our trade. But indeed, we do hope that there will be a conversation around that very soon, and perhaps those recommendations put on the table. But looking at the time, let's speak about investment climate real quick. In light of the global economic uncertainties, could you recommend measures that the Kingdom of Eswatini can adopt to maintain investor confidence as well as attract FDI, foreign direct investment?
I think what we need to sell, Mr. Nxumalo, as a country is our strategic location within SACU and our strategic location within the AfCFTA, and also looking at those retaliatory tariffs. Eswatini did not get any. All we got was the 10% blanket tariff. So that, in a way, already positions us, gives us somewhat of a better footing, at least within these 90 days, while the world is trying to see what is happening across the globe. So what we need to do is let the global economy know that Eswatini is ready for business and Eswatini is ready to trade. So we need to use this chaos, Mr. Nxumalo, to our advantage. There are always positives coming out from any chaos. Chaos does bring about rewards only if you are able to watch through and see the moving blocks and see what can actually benefit you. So what will and actually can benefit us at the present moment is we know there's a hard stance on Lesotho, we know there's a hard stance on South Africa. So even if those relationships do thaw, they are not necessarily going to go back to where they were by default. So we do stand a better chance of attracting that textile industry that was so dominant in Lesotho and bring it into Eswatini, but we need to be strategic about it. We do stand in a better position because, producers are already looking at ways on how to shift to a country that it's not attracting such ire from the US, because we do not know what's going to happen at the end of that 90 days. So we need to be moving vigorously as a country right now to use this uncertainty to our advantage, Mr. Nxumalo.
Yeah, absolutely. And, your sentiments are sort of piggybacking on the chief executive of the Eswatini Investment Promotion Authority's sentiments on really how we can try to be resilient in these trying economic times. And they did say that as they prepare to go to the Osaka Expo 2025, they really just want to really leverage in terms of conversation and in terms of, kusoma the investors that will be there, because it's going to be a multi-billion-dollar opportunity in terms of investment opportunities this expo. So I'm happy that what you are recommending, APA, some of those things they're already looking into, and we hope that's going to come into fruition. We have 4 minutes left of talk time. Perhaps let's talk about supply chain resilience. You did hint on it on your previous answer that it's going to be really, really crucial that as we diversify, we also look into the resilience of our supply chain resilience. Now, considering these potential disruptions in the global supply chains, how can we really insulate or enhance the resilience of our export sectors, particularly agriculture and manufacturing? I see how, during the budget speech, that has been the, sort of center of our investment.
Thank you, Mr. Nxumalo. So what we need to do there is, just ramp up in terms of how we invest our Lilangeni to ensure that we are able to attain this global competitiveness. I mean, in terms of agriculture, we've seen and we've had these talks for the longest time in terms of input subsidies, in terms of cold chain storages that the government is supposed to be building. So what we need to do basically is to ramp up on those. That's what we need to do. We need to fast track those so that you lower the cost on the producer, such that when their commodity gets to the market, it remains competitive. So if the government absorbs that storage cost, then that means the consumer goes there with a fairly competitive commodity. And another thing that we need to do, Mr. Nxumalo, I don't know why we haven't gotten to this point yet. We need to improve on our cargo, right? Because when we are looking at agriculture, that's a highly perishable commodity. So if we're able to fly it out there rather than shipping it into the US market, for example, and other global markets, you get it there relatively faster and quicker compared to when you are hauling it by road. So we also do need to look at how we are going to balance those supply chains and those chains and those logistical chains across the globe. And then in terms of our producers, Mr. Nxumalo, one of the issues that I've noticed is even when we are supposed to be benefiting from a weak exchange rate, for example, in terms of our exports, because we import so much from abroad, that exchange rate weakening only benefits us for a very short time because we do not have fully grown supply side policies and fully grown input production into the country. For example, we import mostly our fertilizers, we import our oil, we import quite a number of things. So whenever our Lilangeni weakens, that's supposed to benefit our exporters, but you find that we still have to import a lot of those inputs that we need. So that exchange rate gain debate then goes off the table. So what we need to do is develop our input side so that global conditions do not necessarily affect our production processes, because we would have been gaining quite a lot of our inputs from the domestic economy. So I think that's what we need to work on, Mr. Nxumalo, as an economy.
Thank you so much for your time this morning. Really appreciate your assertions. We understand air cargo recommendations quite critical. We hope that those who are supposed to listen are listening and taking some notes and, perhaps assessing if that is practical for us. Trade diversification and supply chain resilience. Everything that you have said, really compelling and rather engaging. Thank you so much for your time. And as we part this conversation with our economist, Sunny Lesbia, we do hope that as the press release suggests, that the impacts remain to be fully assessed as, we continue to be in the midst of this 90-day pause, that indeed the assessment will be made and the conversations that they say that they want to have with the U.S. Embassy and the USTR, they will have them. And we won't be seeing a portfolio ministry that is reactive, but one that is proactive. And we have that confidence from this particular press release. Let's go for a net break. We have our English news after the break.
Eswatini TV has signed a code of conduct that is enforced by the Eswatini Communications Commission. We are committed to reporting news that is accurate, comment that is fair, and programming that does not amount to hate speech or the description of gratuitous violence or explicit sex. For any complaints of our programming, please contact us on 2411-9600 or email info@eswatinitv.co.za. You can also contact the Eswatini Communications Commission on 2406-7000 or write a letter to ECCOM on PO Box 7811 Mbabane. Email address is info@ecom.org.sz.
2 minutes after 7. Thank you so much for staying with us on Kusile Breakfast Show. This is the English news. His Excellency, the Prime Minister Russell Miso Dlamini, who was representing His Majesty King Mswati III, has met with the United Nations Secretary General Special Envoy Jean Todt in the Cabinet Conference Room. The Premier said he has read enough about TODT to know that Eswatini stands to learn a lot from his visit. The meeting was held on Monday afternoon.
Eswatini is hosting the Kofi Annan Road Safety Award, which will end on Tuesday. Expected to be in attendance on Tuesday is the UN Secretary General Special Envoy for Road Safety, Jean Todt. Todt has met with His Excellency the Prime Minister Russell Dlamini, who was representing His Majesty King Mswati III. They discussed solutions to reducing road accidents and prevent injuries.
Really believe that your government will also have an impact in the country. We've seen a decrease in the road accidents, and I'm sure that even the efforts that is going to be exerted by your government here is going to contribute significantly to that, and we look forward really to your engagement with the ministry, with the government, with the public here as well, and to learn from you as well, being somebody who's roving all over the world.
Todt said Africa lags behind in road safety compared to European countries.
The figures are not good globally in Africa. I mean, I will give you the equivalent. In Europe, average figure are 5 deaths for 100,000 population. Here it's 25. The road is killing 1.2 million people globally every year. 50 million people are injured with full disability. And as it is number one cause for death and injury for young generation from 5 to 29, I'll let you figure out what is the cost.
Todt said putting all efforts towards reducing road accidents can save lives and ensure that the world attains Sustainable Development Goal 3.6. This goal speaks to reducing global deaths and injuries from road traffic accidents by half. For Mbabane.
The World Food Programme has committed itself to supporting the government of Eswatini in fighting poverty in communities. The World Food Programme has donated gadgets and a car to the value of 850,000 Malangeni to the Deputy Prime Minister's office, which will assist in database collection. The gadgets have been donated at the Deputy Prime Minister's office on Monday.
All in all, the laptops and the tablets are 31 in number, and they will assist in the ongoing database collection aimed at assisting poverty-stricken families and knowing their whereabouts and their way of life. The World Food Programme Head of Office in Eswatini, Ashraful Amin, says they have had a good working relationship with the Deputy Prime Minister's office and they will continue assisting needy families.
WFP is also supporting the ministry in the process of data collection through providing this generous contribution of laptops, tablets, as well as a vehicle that will help the ministry to facilitate the data collection in the field.
The Deputy Prime Minister, Senator Tulidlala, says the program is already running in the Kusile region where officers are already on the ground collecting data with the aim of assisting Maswati.
Lapho sibutha khona imininingwane lechaza impilo yemuntu ukuthi uphila impilo lenjani, uhlala kuphi.
The Deputy Prime Minister says this will contribute to the country's social protection programs. She says the car also will go a long way in reaching in the different communities in the country. She says the donation will go a long way and they will ensure to handle the donated material with care. She says once the data is collected, they will know how many people need to benefit from the Deputy Prime Minister's office in its different programs. This also addresses food insecurities in communities. Reporting, I am Kian Msibi, Mbabane.
The Deputy Prime Minister's office has also received startup kits for child-headed households in its program of skills development. The Deputy Prime Minister's office then handed over the kits to beneficiaries, a handover that took place at the DPM's offices in Babane on Monday.
MTN FinTech under MTN Eswatini has supported young girls from child-headed families with startup kits in the form of smartphones, which they will use to market themselves.
Lokhu lesikuphethe kuncane kakhulu besingafisa kube ngabe kukhona kukhulu but sithanze le kusho ukuthi la kuthi kuya kuphi.
The MTN FinTech CEO Sam Shonga says the funds worth 15,000 Amalangeni will go a long way in digitizing the products by the ladies. He says they do appreciate the kind gesture by the Deputy Prime Minister's office, thus they saw the need to also assist as well. The Deputy Prime Minister's office also added to their contribution by adding startup capital to nail technicians, food and decor specialists, as well as hairdressers. The Deputy Prime Minister, Senator Tuli Dladla, says they want to see these young ladies going places with their businesses.
Letingalo yakhe ilokhunja is 49,220. Bese ke lo wenda tinwele ngu 35,250. Bese ke lo wenda catering 28,205. But yena une stove, une fridge, and so on and so forth. Bese ke sokubang lo mfana wami lesibaya lotholela ma musical instruments 150,000.
Impilweni bese side lithemba ke bhangane tinhlangano selibuyile lithemba sesitawusebenza ngekukhandla nangokwethembeka.
The beneficiaries say life has already changed for the better. Some have already received houses from the Deputy Prime Minister's office, saying had it not been for the government of Eswatini, they would have been dead by now. They say their businesses are already up and running. This is testament that His Majesty's government and partners always step in for those in need. Reporting, I am Kian MCB, Babane.
The Honourable Minister of Economic Planning and Development, Dr. Tambo Gina, says government says targeted investments in young people are key to driving both economic growth and managing population dynamics. He was speaking in Parliament on Monday.
When the House of Assembly convened for parliamentary work on Monday, the Honourable Minister of Economic Planning and Development, Dr. Tambo Gina, responded to a question by Ngutseni Member of Parliament, Charles Ndlovu, where he asked about the government's strategic plans for managing population growth in Eswatini.
Nyalo-ke population yethu labasuka 15 years by 64 sebaningi. Those who are productive sebafuna kuba ngetulu kwalaba labangasi productive.
The Honourable Minister says these youth development initiatives are expected to stimulate sustainable economic growth and development in the years to come. Whereas the Honourable members of the House posed question to the Honourable Minister.
Uthi ema-investors akayeveni nebantu labancane. Mhlawumbe kungako na singakhona ku-attracta le-FDI.
Nangibuka Mr Speaker ngibuta nje enduneni. Kusho ukuthi leti idlu tonke leti le meti yakhiwa nyalo nje 0.7%. Uthi singaspenda imali over $1 billion. Particularly on young people, equipping them with skills. Bese bane employment rate lengaka.
The Speaker of the House, Jabulani Mabuza, awarded the Honourable Minister a chance to respond to the debate.
Itolo besinaka ngelinani lebantu banganani sivinini labakhula ngaso ukuthi siyakhona ukubondla.
The Honourable Minister says he agrees with the Honourable House that population growth and economic growth needs to be in sync. Reporting Samgal Suekoza, Temba Shabangu and Smuva Shongwe, Parliament.
Well, the Minister of Information, Communications and Technology, Senator Savannah Mazia, has donated 80 tablets with docking stations, 5 wireless access points and Cisco switches to the Minister of Health, Honorable Mduduzi Matsebula. The equipment will be deployed across 5 hospitals to support point-of-care usage and connectivity. This donation will help strengthen the inpatient client management information system.
This donation was made by Eswatini Communications Commission. The Commission's Chief Executive, Mvilawempi Dlamini, explains further.
But beyond the hardware, we recognize the responsibility that comes with enabling digital transformation in sensitive environments like healthcare. As the regulatory agent responsible for data protection and cybersecurity, ESCOM takes serious the need to uphold the privacy, integrity, and security of all digital health platforms.
The Minister of Information, Communications and Technology, Senator Savannah Mazia, says the inpatient client management information are through technology.
This digital platform will enable health professionals to seamlessly manage patient information from admission to discharge, ensuring that data is accurate, accessible, and secure. It represents a leap forward in our ongoing efforts to digitize public service delivery and strengthen our health systems using technology and government in your hand drive. But more than that, Honourable Minister, this is about people. It's about making sure that every patient is treated with dignity, that their health records follow them, and that our health professionals are empowered with the tools they need to make timely, informed decisions.
The Minister of Health, Honorable Mduduzi Matsebula, says the support from the Minister of ICT will be of great benefit.
As a Minister of Health, we are very excited to see such initiatives, and we are positive that this will yield good results, such as improved documentation of community-based healthcare services, improved linkage of people to care and treatment, improved adherence to treatment among people receiving care and treatment services through community-based differentiated treatment model.
This is not the first time the Ministry of Health has received support from the Communications Regulatory Body in relation to the Client Management Information System. The regulator previously donated mobile gadgets to the ministry, which were distributed to over 200 health facilities and hospitals. Reporting Fortune Dlangamandla, Cooper Center, Mbabane.
The Honourable Minister of Public Works and Transport, Senator Chief Ndlaluhlaza Ndwandwe, says high motor vehicle accidents in Africa call for innovative financing models, including private-public partnerships and international funding streams. Now, the Honourable Minister has said this during the mobilizing of domestic financing to accelerate road safety technical workshop.
Before the commencement of the prestigious Kofi Annan Road Safety Awards, the Kingdom of Eswatini took a proactive step in addressing one of the most critical challenges in road safety, which is funding. The meeting was officially opened by the Honourable Minister of Public Works and Transport in the Kingdom of Eswatini, Senator Chief Ndlaluhlaza Ndwandwe.
As hosts to this third edition, we are renewed in our vigor to continue addressing road safety issues. We urge all fellow African countries to follow suit. We cannot allow the situation where Africa has the lowest vehicle population but has among the highest road traffic fatalities to prevail.
United Nations Eswatini Resident Coordinator Joshua Chira said, without adequate funding, UN's goals to reduce fatalities and improve mobility cannot be met.
Road safety remains a grave, and I repeat, a grave challenge, which could get worse as the continent is transformed to higher levels of prosperity and we put more vehicles on our roads. So we are here to remind ourselves that despite having just 3% of the world's vehicles, Africa accounts for nearly 19% of global road traffic deaths.
United Nations Secretary General Special Envoy for Road Safety, Jean Todt, highlighted the importance of exploring innovative financing models.
The savings through improved road safety can close Africa's infrastructure financing gap. This makes prioritizing safe mobility a fundamental development issue, combining health, education, economic progress, and social equity. That is why the United Nations has embedded it within the Sustainable Development Goals, recognizing that safe, accessible, and sustainable transport systems are essential for a prosperous future.
The Kingdom of Eswatini is to host the third edition of the Kofi Annan Road Safety Awards on Tuesday. Reporting, Samgal Siwekoza with Temba Shabangu, Eswatini.
The Honourable Speaker, Jabulani Mabuza, has called for regular ministerial statements from Cabinet, which serve as an update on some of the key government activities and policy directions. Here, the Honourable Speaker was speaking during a sitting on Monday.
Before the Honourable Speaker of the House of Assembly, Jabulani Mabuza, called for the adjournment of the House of Assembly on Monday, he reminded the Cabinet about Standing Order 60, which calls for collaborative actions and for the Cabinet to present updates about certain issues in the form of ministerial statements.
Kuna Standing Order 60 lokhulumisa indzaba yema-ministerial statements ukuthi bo-minister kusukela kundunankulu bonke nje bo-minister nakukhona labafuna uku-communicate iParliament is there for them.
The Speaker says regardless of the situation, the Cabinet needs to constantly give updates to the Honourable House. He says such statements are crucial for keeping members of Parliament, by extension the public, and inform them about key government activities and policy directions. Reporting Samgal Suekoza, Temba Shabangu and Smuva Shongwe, Parliament.
Government spokesperson Alpheus Mfana Nxumalo, who is aged 61, who is accused of sexually assaulting 2 young women, has been granted bail in the amount of 50,000 emalangeni. Now, the alleged survivors, who share the same surname, are aged 17 and 18 years. The charges relate to incidents that are alleged to have occurred between 2023 to 2024.
The accused person, Alpheus Nxumalo, has been charged with violating various provisions of the Sexual Offences and Domestic Violence SODV Act. In the first count, he is alleged to have, between May 2024 to August 2024, sexually assaulted a 17-year-old girl around Madonsa. In the second count, he is accused of sexually assaulting an 18-year-old girl while around Madonsa between 2023 to August 2024. It is notable that the alleged survivors share the same surname. In the second charge involving the 18-year-old, he is also accused of abusing his power and position as government spokesperson in a way that made it difficult for the complainant to refuse or resist the sexual advances. Nxumalo made his first court appearance at the Manzini Magistrate Court on Monday morning. The prosecution submitted that should the accused be found guilty, his name be added in the National Sex Offenders Register. In an urgent bail application filed with the High Court, Nxumalo states that he will plead not guilty to the charges as he is innocent. While not going into detail about the defense, he said he knows the complainant very well and they are very close to him. He says the closeness stems from the fact that he had a strong relationship with their father. He says they attended the same college and shared meals regularly with their parents. He says the complainants were often present during this gathering. Nxumalo went on to say that the breakdown in his relationship with the complainant's father began when the father, who was struggling financially, owed a motor vehicle mechanic. The issue started when the father failed to repay the loan and has not paid it back to this day. He claims this is when tensions between them began. He says he was shocked when the police arrested him early on Sunday morning. Despite being shocked, he says he cooperated with the police. Nxumalo says he is a sickly person. He adds that since being detained, his health has reportedly deteriorated due to poor conditions in the holding facility. Nxumalo says his job as a government spokesperson has in the past compelled him to defend arrests of certain individuals. He says, therefore, some individuals who, for obvious reasons, did not like the government spokesperson position. He says some of these individuals are still kept in the various facilities in the country. He further mentions that such persons attributed the government's position to him as the one who was articulating the position adopted by government over their arrest. He says there is a likelihood that during his continued incarceration, he may have an encounter with such individuals and they may pose danger to his life. The bail application is before High Court Judge Mamsi Dlamini. The Crown did not oppose the bail request. The judge granted Nxumalo bail set at 50,000 emalangeni. He was ordered to pay 5,000 emalangeni in cash, with the remaining 45,000 to be secured as surety. The accused was not in court when the judge made the ruling. The judge further directed that Nxumalo must make a physical appearance the following morning to be formally warned on his bail conditions. Nxumalo was represented by his attorney, Khumbulani Msibi, who told the court that reason for the accused's absence was the unavailability of transport. The Crown was represented by Prosecutor Futhi Gametse from the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions. Reporting Fortune Dlangamandla, High Court.
The Central Bank of Eswatini and the Eswatini Television Authority have joined forces in a powerful partnership that is sealed to bring the central bank complex at Ezulwini to life, as well as educate the nation on smart money habits and promote everything central bank. during the signing ceremony with the Chief Executive Mlamuli Dlamini at the Central Bank of Eswatini headquarters in Mbabane on Monday morning. The governor, Dr. Philip Nisi, said a new era of collaboration, education, and national development begins between the two institutions.
The central bank governor shares some of the contents of the agreement.
It will assist the central bank to capture its heritage, the rich history that it has since 1974 it was established. But more importantly, the various major projects that we are implementing. We believe that as these key projects, especially the headquarters that we are building at Eswatini, it will be very critical to have the wider and broader coverage so that when it is completed, we are not searching in the archives, by the way, what happened, but we would have captured the data on an ongoing basis.
The Chief Executive Officer of Eswatini Television Authority says through dynamic programming, engaging content, and widespread outreach, this collaboration will put the spotlight on the central bank's work from monetary policy to currency issuance and everything in between.
We believe that Eswatini will benefit immensely when they understand the mandate of the bank, when they understand the initiatives, different initiatives that the bank is working on. For example, as you mentioned, the construction project that's going to be commencing soon at Eswatini, right? It is of great importance that Eswatini appreciate the vision of the government, the bank, as to what and how that facility will serve and improve the services of the bank and the country overall. And, our platform, right, is rightfully positioned to help the bank in that regard.
Eswatini Television Authority CEO further said this is not just a partnership, but it is a mission to build a financially smart nation. Reporting, Nelson Dlangamandla, Fuminkosi Nzinisa, Mbabane.
The youth can tap into mushroom farming and make a living out of it. This has been said by Samgeliso Mamba, who is a mushroom farmer. Mamba also says the market is wide open and currently the supply is lower than the demand.
Ngaliso Mamba, a mushroom farmer, encourages the youth to tap into farming and be mushroom farmers because its market is wide open. Mamba said it is not a hard vegetable to grow only if it is practiced in its conducive environment. He says currently, Eswatini imports about 9 tons of mushroom, leaving a gap in its local production.
9.5 tons of makowe are imported from South Africa per year. Loko siniketa lensaya ukuthi ke 9.5 tons wemakowe uyashota ukuthi ungalinywa abalimi la kaNgwane.
He says markets are lacking in mushroom supply, thus the need for more produce. He says with the unemployment rate relatively high, Eswatini can turn into mushroom farming and satisfy the market. He says as a farmer himself, he is not employed but self-employed in mushroom farming. Reporting, I am Kian MCB. Mbabane.
Let's look at international news now. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said dozens of people were killed or wounded in Sumy. This is after Russian missiles struck the city as people gathered to celebrate Palm Sunday. At least 34 people were killed, with more than 110 wounded. Viewer discretion is advised on this story.
The moment of impact. And these gruesome scenes show the immediate aftermath of a Russian missile strike on Sumy, close to the Russian border. 2 ballistic missiles slammed onto the city, designed, the regional governor said, to inflict maximum damage to it and its people. And it did, killing dozens. The deadliest strike on Ukraine this year.
We live in the city center.
There's no military base. There are no soldiers here. It's simply a genocide. It's genocide. It is horror out there.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky didn't hold back his anger as he condemned the attack.
The strike hit right in the center of the city on Palm Sunday. Only filthy scum can do such a thing. Wars end only when the crimes of war are not forgotten and when there is sufficient pressure on the aggressor. This is exactly what we currently don't have.
A strong reaction too from the US Special Envoy to Ukraine, Keith Kellogg, saying the attack crossed any line of decency. Zelensky is calling on allies to take decisive action to stop Russian attacks. The strike on Sumy comes just days after US President Donald Trump urged Russian leader Vladimir Putin to take concrete steps towards a ceasefire. But Zelensky says that right now, Russia has no fear.
A wave of Israeli strikes across Gaza on April 13 hit a hospital and other sites, killing at least 21 people, including children, as Israel vowed to expand its security presence in the small coastal strip. Viewer discretion is advised once again.
They have minutes to evacuate patients during the night before this Israeli airstrike. This is what's left of Al Ali Baptist Hospital's emergency intensive care unit. The Israeli army maintains that this part of the building was a Hamas operational command centre. It was the last remaining fully functioning hospital in northern Gaza. Since the start of the war, 36 have been targeted.
We're not safe anywhere.
That wasn't the only Israeli bombardment of the day. In Gaza City, a school was hit. This house also was further south in the enclave. This municipal building is gutted. This car too is burnt out. Since the end of the truce, the Israeli army has been on the offensive in all directions. Israel now controls at least half of the enclave. According to the UN, more than 400,000 Gazans have once again been forced onto the roads in just 3 weeks, leading to an unprecedented humanitarian crisis. But Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, with the support of President Trump, is considering a plan to remove the inhabitants of Gaza.
And what is wrong with giving people a choice?
For his detractors, it's not a choice at all.
In order to make Gaza an Israeli colonia or Israeli territory. It's a war crime.
And in Israel, the military is beginning to rebel against Netanyahu and his Gaza strategy. On Friday, former pilots and reservists launched a petition, 1,000 signatures pushing to end a war which for them has no logic.
The hostages still in Gaza are at risk. The soldiers who are there are at risk. And also, innocent civilians are killed every day. And none of this makes any sense.
While Benjamin Netanyahu does not see an end to the conflict before the release of the 58 remaining hostages and the surrender of Hamas, French President Emmanuel Macron could announce recognition of the Palestinian state in June, a move condemned by Israel.
In our sports news, the Minister of Sports, Honorable Bongani Nzima, has rewarded athletes and teams that won medals and represented the Kingdom of Eswatini internationally from December last year with a total amount of 190,000 Malangeni. Now, the athletes and teams honored include those who returned from netball, athletics, boxing and swimming competitions. Swimmer Haley Hoy alone received over 60,000 Malangeni in a ceremony that was held at the Ministry of Sports in Mbabane.
The Ministry of Sports in the Kingdom continues to fulfill its promise by supporting athletes who proudly represent the nation beyond our borders. These national heroes who return home with medals are rewarded with financial incentives aimed at motivating them to continue flying the country's flag high in international competitions. Honorable Minister of Sports Bonga Nzima handed over rewards to various sports athletes. The national men's netball team, a boxer who competed in Mozambique, 2 swimmers who represented the country in Namibia, and athletes who participated in relay events in Botswana.
Athletes ethu noma ke tihlabane tethu letihlabene ngaphandle kwalelive tabuya netindondo noma ke tabuya nema medals latsite.
Those who participated in international competitions and returned with medals. According to the ministry's policy, those who won gold medals received 20,000 emalangeni, silver medalists received 10,000 emalangeni, and bronze medalists received 5,000 emalangeni. We are happy that the amount of 190,000 emalangeni has been distributed.
Swimmer Hailey Ho is believed to have received over 60,000 malangeni thanks to her outstanding performance, winning gold in the 100-meter butterfly, 200-meter butterfly, the 3-kilometer open water event, and the 800-meter butterfly.
Having such a big team in Namibia definitely played a part in the amazing mental space I was in order to win these medals. And I think it's just an amazing experience being able to go to a region where it's a lot harder to compete in swimming, given that we're swimming with South Africa and Mozambique and Mauritius, which have all known to produce some very good swimmers.
Netball Association President Tombi Masango expressed her heartfelt gratitude to the ministry for its ongoing support and commitment to the development of the sport. Athletics Eswatini President Zakele Dlamini also thanked the ministry for its talent search initiative, which identified 2 athletes who are now shining on the international stage. Nozipho Mahlalela, Secretary of the Swimming Association, commended the support and assured that the Federation will continue to prepare athletes to represent Eswatini with pride on the international stage. Reporting for Eswatini TV Sports, I'm Linda Dlamini. Babane.
And that is how we cap off our English news. We'll go for a net break. We'll be back shortly with the Eswatini Water Service Corporation. We are talking all things. They are new innovation you will learn about after the break.
Eswatini TV has signed a code of conduct that is enforced by the Eswatini Communications Commission. We are committed to reporting news that is accurate, comment that is fair, and programming that does not amount to hate speech or the description of gratuitous violence or explicit sex. For any complaints of our programming, please contact us on 2411-9600 or email info@eswatinitv.co.za. You can also contact the Eswatini Communications Commission on 2406-7000 or write a letter to ECCOM on PO Box 7811 Mbabane. Email address is info@ecom.org.za.
Kude lesinye isikhathi ngaphandle kwalesi
aba research bafunze.
Being risky means ukuthi nalokuwa kwayo kulula.
Nathi kufuna senze ukukhicita lokusembili.
When you choose your adventures, you do so with an open heart and a desire for the unexpected. You embark on journeys to discover new worlds full of wonder. You choose a path to awaken your senses, a world to make you look up and realize just how inspiring this life can be. Arrive and awaken your heart. Explore life in ways only thought possible in your dreams. Discover just how far you go to expand your understanding of life's greatest mysteries. There's just one place on this planet with so much to offer. Now is the time for you to have the royal experience.
Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. Besviti Loguti will be joined by Hlobile Chele from the Eswatini Water Services Corporation. Loguti, last month, the managing director, Mage Chablile Mashwama, officially launched the prepaid water meter system. Lekbeguti ikala kusebenda this month. Utasichazela abantu ukuthi ngabe itawusebenda kanjani. Ngidipiti indlela mhlawumbe litawudzingeka ngoma customer. Siyakhuluma ukuthi nakayisukumisa empty wavete ukuthi lena indlela yokuthi ma customer khona ukubona ukuthi basebenzisa emanti langanani ahamba kanganani emanti, just like electricity. She joins us now to sichazela kabanti ngayo le project ukuthi ihamba kanjani, itawuhamba sigaba lesinganani, ifike etindzaweni letinganani lapha eveni. Very good morning Hlobile, siyabonga ukuthi bena sinomhla ekseni. Kuma nje ukusichazela nje ukuthi vele yes seyiqalile kusebenza le project in some areas lapha eveni as a pilot project. What is the prepaid water metering system?
Okay, ngiyabonga Lulu. Thank you just for inviting Eswatini Water Services ukuthi bekhona la hlelweni lamuhla. So i-prepaid metering silaunche last month kuqaleni inyanga ya March. So lapho khona sathi sesive nje ukuthi seyifikile in Eswatini Water Services Corporation. Isebenda kanjani ke lapho khona nje ma customer they buy units to load ma tokens la tawenda ukuthi emanti abe khona endlini. Siqalile njengoba ubadisa balalele emakhaya. Siqale eMdoni Township lapho khona. This is where we are doing our pilot phase. There are 50 connections thus far eMdoni. So lapho khona sihlola khona ukuthi mase sicala sesi roll out eveni lonke itabe isebenda kanjani. So siya testa nje with eMdoni stokhwana kwati kumbe la ihlupha khona nema thoughts nje nema experiences ema customer ethu. So far feedback lesibenayo eMdoni has been quite positive. Ema customer ayayemukela kakhulu indlela lesebenda ngayo, and ngicabanga ukuthi it's also easy to use because bayakhona nalokuyisebenzisa. So sesiqalile eMdoni. We are looking forward to rolling it out nationally eventually, which will be done over a 5-year period. Thus far eMdoni ke sitawenda le pilot phase loyikhulumisile nje for 3 months.
Okay.
Yes.
So I think lokhulu nje lakuveta empty during the launch inzabe transparency and control ukuthi ngiyakhona control ukuthi ngisebenzisa imali langanani, ngiyakhona nekubona as well. What are some of the complaints mhlambe benwatfola emakhasimendini kule system lenzala?
Okay. Kule system lenzala maybe angiqale ngokuthi kuze sifike ku prepaid, it's because my customers ethu have been saying ukuthi they would like to have a prepaid model yemandi. So as Eswatini Water Services, we do make sure that whatever our customers are speaking about, we are there to listen because we want to ensure that our services are of good standard. So most of the activities that we have rolled out as a corporation are due to the fact that we are listening to our customers. We are concerned about what the needs that they have are. Therefore, prepaid metering comes from that, just like many other innovations, because you need to bring things that your customers are looking forward to as an organization. As sikhula nathi singe-Eswatini Services, my customers ethu nawo ayakhula, nelive nalo liyashintsha how we function. More things are becoming digital. So the prepaid stems from that. So silethile because of my customer needs and my customer expectations. Phambilini, our customers just felt as though ayafisa ukuthi avele a budget for a water bill. Sangbegise, you know you want to spend 300 emalangeni, therefore you will load 300 emalangeni into your water water system. So kwaba yinfo le kanjalo ukuthi I think fisile ukuthi let me just know ukuthi I'm spending 300 this month. Some customers, we did then roll out a plan ukuthi you can just pay in advance. So some customers were paying in advance just because they just want to be able to be in control of their budget. So the prepaid, I think, iletha logo ekhasimendeni kokuthi maybe you are buying before instead of receiving a bill after. Now when you are buying before, you are probably more responsible with the usage because you know I'm using this 300 ml on my water this month, and whatever it is that you are using as an individual. Now I'm using this amount, you are more in control. Our previous system, or the system that is currently ongoing, because not everyone has the prepaid just yet, you pay the bill after the usage. So sometimes it's like, yo, ngimlona ngisebenzise mandila kangaka, so lokuthi gatsa kumelula lapho khona you probably have the prepaid compared to when you are going to receive the bill afterwards.
Yeah. I think sivele siningi nje sajabula kakhulu when MD asivitela tindzaba letimnanzi ngokuthi nyalo sasta connecting emandi just like electricity. As you did mention ngokuthi kwanyalo nisemndoni for the next 3 months. Ngabe nibuke ukuthi indawo phuma nini kuya letinye tindzawo, how many residential homesteads le nita khona ukuthi niti gucule in the 5 years?
Okay, so in the 5 years, we are going to go in all areas of the country. Because I'm sure some are concerned. Water Services. So this is the corporation going out and moving the old system and including the new system. So that is going to be on Eswatini Water Services Corporation. So letinzawo ndotsini sitibuke in effect in a way that siya etinzaweni letahlukahlukene as we phase out the year on year. I think it's also important ukuthi satise ukuthi on our clustered communities, maybe my communities etfu maybe langa afford kangako, we have also thought about them previously. We have Emma water kiosks where Bantu they go and buy water for like a 1 rand, 25 liters. So we also have done something similar, a similar model for those clustered communities. So they will have prepaid standpipes, lapo khona bataba ne token and just purchase the water and beseseka yaphuma. So it's definitely a prepaid sengosi, you are just now using a token. So we are using that technology across board, even in our clustered communities. All areas, it's not necessarily urban, nasemakhaya kutawugcine kufikile over the 5-year period, yes.
Okay, speaking of purchasing the water, vele take us through the process. Ukuthi ngimthenga kanjani igesi? Do I need to go to your service centers, or I can do it online? Nga 12 nje ebusuku I can purchase emandi njengagesi. Kuyafana nivele nagesi?
So ngitawuthi kuyafana akufanani nagesi. Kuyafana in that you are purchasing your water tokens or your prepaid tokens to put into le system yako. So we will work with Emabange. We are in the process of engaging our bank partners to purchase Laoma tokens, Lama water tokens. Currently, the people that we have connected, the customers that we have connected, Mdoni Estate, are utilizing the EWC app. Lapokona, that's where this is the app that we have, Njaya Water Services. So customers can also utilize the EWC app to purchase the water, whilst we are still in engagements with our banking partners. So dawkhona nikuthenga etitolo etc. Ngithi akufanani njani nagesi because it doesn't utilize gesi. So should there be a power outage, the water will continue to be there. Kusebenzisa e-battery. But otherwise, the way that you purchase the tokens will be very similar to that of EEC.
So will it reflect instantly nang pancha nje lama tokens ami reflect kule meter?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So what other benefits come with this new system besides lokuthi I have full control monitor my consumption?
So I think there are a number of benefits that come with the prepaid system for our customers. One of them is the fact that you will be able to know when you have leaks within your property, because the system is designed in a way that it will alert the customer. So it alerts the customer on the gadget that is within your home, where you actually enter those prepaid units. So it will alert customers that, okay, we have a leak in the property. So customers can quickly, respond to that, as than previously, where you actually find out that you have a bill by seeing your bill. You have a high water bill or a leakage by seeing your bill at the end of the month. So away with that now, customers will be able to know that actually there's something wrong in my property. There's a water leakage, because it will reflect on the gadget where you actually enter your units. It will also be available. Also, you'll be able to see it. It will be linked with our EWC app, so you can also see this. Maybe you're away from home and you have the EWC app. It alerts you. We'll see there seems to be a leak within your property. So that is, I think, one of the major benefits about this innovation. And I think also the fact that it doesn't utilize electricity is also an advantage, because I think a lot of our customers were thinking, sengidofaka emandi. Emandi ngema-tokens, perhaps kusebenta ngagesi, mangicime gesi ekami sinemandi sekude konke. So because we utilize e-battery, this gadget utilizes a battery, it will not be affected by water cuts. So you continue to, by electricity cuts. So you continue to have access to water even if you have power cuts.
Okay. So what's the least and highest amount in of ma-token lengawathenga, like imali ngiyabekisa 5,000, ufuna kuthenga 5,000, ufuna kuba set for the next 3 months, and what's the least lengayifaka? Mkhona ngimfaka 10 emalangeni ukuthi manje ngibambe isimo.
Okay, so the lowest minimum is 5 kiloliters, which will be around 90 emalangeni. So ngese ngikhona ukubekisela nge-highest, because lapho sekutawuya ngel-customer ukuthi utilize emandi langakanani, but nje i-minimum is the 5 kiloliters that a customer can purchase.
Okay. Yeah. So did EWSC conduct benchmarking exercises? We know that countries such as Uganda do have this system. Ingabe nikhonile nikubona ukuthi lamanye amave enda kanjani ngaphambi kokuthi ni officially launch la Eswatini?
Yes, we have siphumile nje saya emaveni latvutane naleli bomakhelwane, South Africa, Botswana, Uganda as well, just to see how they use the system and how it functions in their countries. And then also we had to obviously look at how we can utilize the same system but to benefit eMaswati. So we definitely did due diligence by going out and actually seeing how the prepaid meter functions in other countries. So we are very much equipped to now utilize the function kuleli lakithi.
All right. So siyakuthi bese send these scheduled payments, and also on the app ikhona le option leyo. Will it still exist kule new system then?
So in the new system, because you are now buying beforehand, we probably will not require that. Yona itoqhubeka nyalo, angisho angithandza kusho ukuthi itoqhubeka nyalo, because not all our customers have been rolled into the prepaid metering, but eventually that will be phased out, because now you are now purchasing beforehand. Logo ukuthi besenda lama logo, it was because my customer beganako lokufisa to be in control. Let me just pay beforehand so that I'm in control of my expenses. But nyalo, the way that the system will be working, the way our EMA tokens will not require that you actually do that. So eventually it will be phased out, but in the meantime it continues to be there.
Right. So nasibuya nje mhlambe kulama meters, what is the lifespan of lama meters lendawa install?
Okay, because they utilize e-battery, we have looked at that. It was a very big concern for us as EWSC. We don't want to be going every now and again sekulungiswa ema meters. So the lifespan of these batteries that will be utilized by the prepaid meters is 10 to 15 years. So it will take quite a long period of time to be utilized by my customer. Yeah.
Okay. Just kubuyela nje muva kulaba basemdoni, dithe ukuthi kwanyalo nisabuke le Mdoni as a pilot project. Ingabe bathini bona as testament to this new system yabasebenzela kanjani nababuka nje mhlawumbe consumption yabo ukuthi mangakhi lama kiloliters labawathengako kuyabasebenzela yini in the different households, because there's different family members, house members laba khona la ekhaya kuyabasebenzela yini.
So I think that's a great question. Githi Eswatini Water Services sisitena siwa installer lama prepaid meters Mdoni. We made it a point ukuthi we go sibavakashele every now and then. Even in the installation stage, we had to show them so this is how it functions, just so that we can get great feedback and just have a great sense of how this actually works for our customers. And thus far, we have not had any complaints from them. They are able to utilize we are able to utilize the prepaid metering system. They're able to purchase their tokens on the EWSC app. So the transition has been quite good. For them. I think it was also important to us that we do it in a community that is close to the headquarters, Eswatini Water Services, so that should there be any problems, we are quick, so we are quick to reach them. But for us, so far we are very happy to not have had any major complaints or anything that would say the system does not work or we need to maybe improve a whole lot more. So thus far, I think we have had positive feedback from them. We continue to engage them, which is why this is a 3-month period. So we continue to engage them. We look forward to knowing what their experiences would be after 2 months, because it only has been a month now.
Right. So as we transition to the new system, do we need to reapply? Will we have new accounts? Water accounts transition.
I think customers would be happy to know where you continue to utilize your account lekona. So this is just us as Eswatini Water Services sifika gakho sikufaka nje kule system lensha sichazela ukuthi isebenza kanjani, but you continue to utilize the account that you were using.
So good dealing ngukukhago, I will not pay for the meter, nina niyafika na installer niyangena niyafaka everything that needs to be installed.
Ngithi lesiletha lentuthuko kuma customers siyafika nje siya installer, i customer lethu enjoy a service lensha le more efficient for them.
It must have been costly for the corporation. How many millions will be spent on this project?
No, it definitely was a costly initiative that has definitely, which is why we are also doing this initiative over a number of years to allow lokuthi sikhone kuspenda differently in the different number of years. So umnyaka ngemnyaka kutohluka, and we just look forward to having a customer aid who enjoy the service lensha.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Sibongakhulu. Hlobile kusichazela ukuthi le prepaid water metering system yaka EWSC isebenza kanjani, as she just said ukuthi banyalo basayipilota ezulwini Mdoni for the next 3 months. Itawuchubekela etindzaweni letiningi kamanzini and also in urban and peri-urban areas lapha Eswatini kubona ukuthi iyasebenzela yini vele. Let's go for an ad break. Sabe khona manje.
Welcome to Eswatini Lifestyle. This is your ultimate guide to the entertainment, to the lifestyle and the culture of Eswatini.
Eswatini Lifestyle. Eswatini Lifestyle.
Eswatini Lifestyle.
From 6:30 to 7 p.m. On Eswatini TV, Sibuko Semaswati.
On Eswatini TV, Sibuko Semaswati.
Kude lesinye isikhathi ngaphandle kwalesi.
Aba research bafunze.
Being risky means ukuthi nalokuwa kwayo kulula. Nathi kufuna senze ukukhicita lokusembili.
All right, it's 3 minutes before 8 o'clock. Sithatha nje ukukhulumisana na Hlobile Jele, who's a PR and communications specialist enkampanini yaka-Water. Bekasichazela ukuthi umsebenzi lomkhulu wayo lenkampani izovele sowuqalile lapha ezulwini eMndoni. Yi-prepaid water metering system ke lena umsebenzi losukunyiswa ngu-MD Jabulile Mashama ukuthi ama-customer aconnect ithengele imali just like electricity. Siyapunch lapha ama-tokens, siyabona ukuthi sisebenzisa ngakhi kiloliters emanti.
Kodwa ngicela siloku ngijabulisa kakhulu ukufunza namhlanje ukuthi nakhamba gas emanti achubeka abe khona ngoba kusebenzisa liphepha kusebenzisa lo gas. I mean, I think it was an important interview. A lot of Maswati had a lot of questions around this particular development or innovation by EWSC. It looks like it's going to be exciting indeed.
It is exciting.
Yeah,
look, I've consumed so much. I need to reload.
Nangabe ufana nami nabala bahle bebemandakho na ungekho.
Yeah.
Kuyawuhlupha lokho ngoba uyahamba wena imali langa ukhanze mandakho saphelile.
Yeah. All right. Thanks so much for joining us on Flex Any. As a minutes before 8 o'clock, we've come to the end of our program. Sanibona kusasa, kahle.